Everyone, what's going on? Welcome to a new edition of the Genesys Communities Q&A show, the show where we answer your pressing questions in the Genesys online community. My name is Matt Lawson. I am your online community manager, and today we have a little something for everyone. I'm going to be sitting down and talking with the Genesys Latitude team. Now, Latitude is software that's made for accounts receivable, so collecting debts, reaching out to people who may or may not owe you money. The great thing is they're here because they have a brand new integration with Genesys Cloud that they want to talk about. But I'd like to remind you that they've had a pure connecting integration that you could be taking advantage of if you use that platform. They have an integration coming with Genesys Engage. And if you aren't a Genesys customer, you can still use Latitude independently. So I think it's a slam dunk for everybody, unless maybe you have some debt that they're trying to collect. Let's not worry about that. If you're a longtime viewer of this show, you may have noticed that I have a new background. Well, the secret's out. I have a new house, and this is the first room that I chose to broadcast in. But this decision was not random. Want to know why? Well, let's get started. Chris, Ian, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yep, thanks, Matt.
Awesome, yeah. It's really funny having you all on the show because we have a rich history. We've actually been working together for almost 2 years, I believe. And Ian, I don't know if you remember this, but the first time you and I actually met in person was randomly in the back of an Uber getting to and from Experience 19. So
I seem to remember a little bit about that evening, but not a great amount. So, but yes, we have a little history there.
Stories for another time, I'm sure.
Yeah,
guys, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're busy. I know you attend a lot of conferences, and now is a huge time for you because you have a brand new integration with Genesys Cloud that you're going to be talking about on this show. But before then, let's let the people who don't know you get a chance to. So, Chris, let's start with you. Can you talk a little bit about what your role is at Genesys and what you've been working on?
Sure. Chris Bielitz. I'm one of the co-business owners of the Latitude line of business. Latitude is a small and nimble group that runs an awesome piece of software that, frankly, a lot of our customers and even a lot of the people inside Genesys don't know that much about. So thank you for the opportunity, and we can get into more details about it later.
Yeah, absolutely. Ian, what about you?
So Ian Winder, and along with Chris, I'm the co-business owner of Latitude by Genesys. I'm also the director of product management for the Latitude product suite, and been with the company here, pushing 11 years, about 30 years plus in the collections and recovery space. So a lot of background in the industry.
Wow, awesome. Well, great to have you guys on the show. I explained on the intro and to you all privately that I am the proud owner or co-owner of a brand new house. And as I am settling in and still trying to decide where my office will go, I'm kind of taking people on a small tour, going room to room so that people can decide where is the best place for me to broadcast from. Today's location may seem random, but it was not. What we like to do on the show when we have a new guest on is ask a random question that was provided by an anonymous community member sent in through the GCAP portal. So the question that I pulled today came in from Kathy, and Kathy wanted to know, what is your favorite board game? Do you see how thematic that is? Chris, let's start with you. What's your favorite board game?
This is a good question. I really enjoyed seeing the games in the background because I see a lot of the ones that we have. We have, at my house, about 150 board games, it seems like. I'm actually trying to get rid of some because I think we have too many. Like Candyland, my kids are too old for that now. But my favorite one that we're playing right now with my son is an old classic, is Othello. So really enjoying playing that with my son.
Man, that is an interesting one. You don't have a lot of people who are Othello enthusiasts, so that's cool. What about you, Ian?
Well, kind of diverse, I guess, but if I think back to my favorite board game is probably Risk.
Awesome. I actually have, I don't know if you can see it, but I have a collection of Risk board games up here.
Oh, okay.
That was my old favorite. My new favorite, just if you're interested in trying something new, is called The Mind. It's a cooperative game where you try to count with the people around you, but you have no idea what number the other person is on. So it's kind of interesting. I just encourage you to try it. It's like $11 if you can find a copy.
Yeah. So I got introduced to a new one, actually. Don't know if you guys have seen it yet. It's called Pandemic. It seems appropriate for the times that we're in. And it's a collaborative game trying to beat the system, basically. So
if you found a secret to beating that game, please let my wife and I know. We have been stumped every time we attempt it. Well, guys, as much fun as I wish we could do an entire show talking about board games.
Let's do that.
I absolutely love it. It's a favorite topic of mine, and obviously, Chris, you're a collector as well. But we're here to talk about something a little different. So let's talk about Latitude. It's really funny because as the community manager, I helped you set up an entire Latitude community. I understand that it's about accounts receivable, but I feel like you all are in a much better position to explain what Latitude is. So real quick, off the top of your head, what does Latitude do?
I'll take this one. So basically, Latitude by Genesys is our solution for the accounts receivable management space. And it's a feature-complete solution for collections, recovery, outsource management, and debt sale, effectively covering that entire account lifecycle from day one delinquency or past due through an account being charged off and potential sale. At its core, Latitude's a complete CRM solution for both credit grantors and collection agencies, predominantly B2C. We do facilitate B2B, but market is predominantly B2C. And we facilitate all of that business process around the collection of a debt, from outreach, payment negotiation, scheduling, processing, complaint and dispute management, bankruptcy handling, probate management, and so on. All of the business processes around collecting a debt.
Awesome.
It's actually a suite of products from a highly configurable and customizable agent desktop, business process automation and workflow engine, ETL tool for data import and exports, and a robust query and reporting tool that gives access to all of the account information to better help manage strategies and understand the collections business as a whole.
Cool. One of the questions that I had going into this episode is a lot of people who normally tune in are, admins within the Genesys Cloud system, or they might be end users of, like somebody who's actually using it to engage with customers. Who is most likely to use the Latitude product? Like what kind of a job role is this more ideal for?
So there's generally two main sectors of people who or of companies that will use this. There's the credit grantors and the people who run that side of the business, and then there's the third-party collection agencies. There are two types of people who would actually sit down and use Latitude. The number one would be agents. Agents sit down at their computer, they're connected via voice, and they're wearing their headset, and they're navigating the Latitude CRM screen, and they have it full screen on their computer. Those are the agents. And so, we sell Latitude very much like we sell Genesys Cloud. We sell it by the seat. And so you have an agent sitting there, and they're occupying one seat, and they're occupying one seat of Genesys Cloud. There's also some managers and back office staff that manage the back office type stuff of, moving accounts around and doing reports and sending information to and from their customers, the original third-party creditors. So we have people sitting down and using Latitude, operating their entire business on Latitude on a day-to-day basis on the back-end side of it, and then the agents sitting down for 8 hours a day and trying to collect or recover money for their customers or on their own behalf.
Gotcha. One of the things also I just wanted to ask, just to make sure I understand. So you're here today because you have a brand new integration with the Genesys Cloud software, but Latitude is available actually for Pure Connect and Genesys Engage users, and you don't even have to be using either of those systems to adopt Latitude, right? It's something that anybody could use regardless of your relationship with Genesys. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We are a standalone solution, but to your point, we do integrate back into the call center functionality that Genesys offers as a whole.
Cool. Well, guys, I'm actually really intrigued. It's been great to kind of hear an overview. Real quick, can we hop in and maybe see your product in use?
Certainly. So, when we talk about the collection side and the integration, I'll show you what it looks like from campaign management for Latitude and the CRM, and then that agent desktop, how they would work accounts, how that ties back into Genesys Cloud and the functionality that we enable through that, as well as the overall collections functionality.
Awesome. Well, whenever you're ready, go ahead and start your screen share.
So the first thing I'm showing, because we are talking a little bit more about that integration, right, is what we call List Builder, which is how you build campaigns and manage campaigns from within Latitude. So as a CRM, we have access to all of the data associated with the accounts, the customers on those accounts, everything that's transpired during that collections process. And I can use that to drive how I want to build a campaign or what accounts I want to put into a call list that can be used in a campaign. And it's based upon our query tool. So from within here, I can look at anything. So I can look and say, okay, I want to find accounts where the balance, let's say, the current balance is, greater than a certain amount. And, let's say it has not yet been contacted. So contacts is 0. And, I've been on the account's been on the system for, let's say at least 3 days, greater than 2 days. Okay. And when I've done this, I can now just, count how many accounts match my criteria. I could then run that and use that to build a list. So I'm just going to take these off for a second as I'm in a test mode. If I count my accounts at this point, I've got 6 accounts that match that criteria. From here, I just tell it to export. And where am I going to put these accounts, or what call list? I'm going to Pure Cloud, Genesys Cloud. And from within here, I get access to the contact list configuration. So it's queried Genesys Cloud. It's got information around the queues that are available for the collectors, the types of campaigns that are available. And we support all of the standard campaign types within Genesys Cloud. If I'm going to use a script, we have a standard Latitude script, what I want to use for caller name and caller ID and so on. And from here, I just click export, and it will push that contact list into Genesys Cloud, and I can actually turn that campaign on directly from here. I can manage it through the traditional Pure Cloud admin portal to manage those campaigns, but I get that base functionality here within Latitude. So that's kind of how I get things in. Let's go.
So cool. Real quick, a question. Because I understand you have the Genesys Cloud, Pure Cloud integration, and you're also integrated with, I can't remember, is it Pure Connect or Genesys Engage? Right
now it's Pure Connect. We're working on the Genesys Engage component.
Okay.
So it's a similar tool, exactly the same thing. Obviously, the actual push is slightly different because of the architecture and the product that we're going to and what that offers. But from a core functionality perspective, from list and campaign management, it's identical.
And then if you aren't integrated with Genesys at all, it'll just give you a spreadsheet with the contact info, I guess?
Yeah, it can generate a CSV type file outbound. You can define what columns you want to have in there, the order, and so on. So it does enable use of non-Genesys products if that's what the customer is using.
Perfect. Please continue with the tour.
Okay, so I'm going to switch over to the agent desktop, and this is the Latitude agent desktop. And as a CRM, we have all of the information around the account and the customer on the account. So I have access to all of that, everything from just their contact information, phone numbers, addresses, employer, spouse, if they're represented by an attorney. So all of that standard CRM data about people and about those debts. Highly configurable, highly customizable. So I can create different components to show on the screen. I can change how they're displayed. I can use policy and permission to say, for this role of user, this is what you get. For this type of business, this is what you show, and so on. So a lot of functionality there. Kind of moving on a little bit, this is the small desktop widget. I've actually connected into Genesys Cloud at this point, and I'm using the standard web CRM agent. So we can coexist with the standard Genesys Cloud agent desktop, but because as a CRM we use a lot of real estate, we're leveraging this small CRM widget. But it offers all of the standard functionality that you see within Genesys Cloud from an agent perspective, be it changing my state, accessing queues, campaigns, looking at my schedules, and so on. So all of that functionality, creating a new interaction, etc. If I just kind of close this account out for now, I can go ahead here and go on queue. And at this point, the integration has now identified an account. I'm in a preview campaign, so what it does, it pops the account on my screen. I have full visibility at this point. I can either skip this or launch this call directly from here in a preview campaign. Obviously, in a power predictive progressive, it doesn't prompt for that. It just launches that call. When it gets connected, then it does the screen pop. So I get the screen pop capability here. I can now go in here, work this account as I need to, or look at it. I'm going to place this call. So it's now dialing. It'll connect. I'm going to hang that up for a moment so I can show you what goes on the screen here. So within here now, I'm on the call, talking to the customer, trying to collect a debt, setting up a payment arrangement within here, and so on. When I come in to set up a payment arrangement, we actually leverage secure pause. So from a PCI perspective, that screen recording, voice recording is not going to capture any of the customer's payment information. Don't have to rely on the agent to manually do that. So we kind of leverage that capability through the integration. We also do kind of a standard mapping of wrap-up codes from the Genesys Cloud wrap codes to the wrap codes that we use within the Latitude system, because we are an action and result code-based system. And once I've tell the system I'm done with that, I can hang and move on to the next call in my preview campaign. So that's kind of at a very high level what the integration provides. Now, one of the terrific benefits also here is, as a collection system, everything has to be auditable and reportable. So we capture what we call events. So that's any action or activity that the agent performs, be it whilst on the call or wrapping the call or anything that they perform that affects the account. One of which is obviously that we've got a campaign call. I can see I've got a campaign call here. I can actually launch that call and listen to the playback directly from the agent desktop. So when supervisors are in or the QA teams are in managing and reviewing the agent's performance and how they're interacting, there's a direct access to all of that information from within the Latitude agent desktop.
Cool. And I know what you're showing us right now is the Genesys Cloud integration. I'm assuming it looks pretty similar with the Pure Connect integration, right?
Correct. We use a very similar desktop widget that has all of the same functionality in it. Obviously, because of the mechanisms between the two systems as to how you get onto a campaign call and so on is slightly different. But all of the call controls, the ability to launch new interactions, all of that functionality is within this integration component.
Awesome, great. Anything else you want to demo while you're still in your screen share?
One of the things I didn't show you, and I'll do it really quickly, is I'm going to go off queue at this point. And not all agents in Latitude are working in dial campaigns. You've got other entities, they may be back office staff, but they still may need to do an outreach to the customer. So one of the capabilities that we do provide is a click-to-dial capability directly from the work screen in Latitude. This also comes into play when you're calling numbers to try and reach the customer. And let's say you're trying a work number, you've got it, and they say, hey, this is, I can't talk on this. Can you call me right back on my cell phone, right? So it's difficult to do that in a campaign, but from here, if I've reached you, you say, call me back on this number, I just go off queue, and I can click to dial your cell phone, talk to you there, still capture the recording, all of the information. So it's very robust from a capability standpoint on the telephony side.
Awesome, guys. I know for a lot of people, this is their first time experiencing Latitude, maybe having an idea of what it is. What do you think the future of this product looks like? Especially like in this era of COVID-19, what do you think? How could this help? what do you think will change? Any thoughts on the future of the product?
Well, I'll talk a little bit about the future of the product. I think Ian was going to do this, but one of the things we need to do is finish up phase 2 of our integration, which hooks us up more robustly to digital channels. You just got a demo on the voice side of things. But we know, especially with COVID-19, what we're hearing from the market is many of the accounts receivable management entities are really expecting a huge influx of past due debt to hit their line of business. And they are hoping to use digital channels to handle a lot of it. So Ian and team have a great set of plans on how to more tightly integrate into Genesys Cloud digital channels. So it'll be even more seamless than it already is, which is fantastic. Go ahead, Ian.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to talk a little bit about COVID. I mentioned we're expecting everything that we're hearing from our colleagues in the industry is, the economy is severely affected. Every one of us knows that. And we're just at the very, very beginning phases of that. And all of our third-party agencies, our outsourcers, the banks that we deal with, they're all predicting and already are seeing, and especially on the lender side of things, a huge influx of bad, negative financial news. And so we expect that to impact the accounts receivable side of things for at least 2 to 3 years, So it's negative. Nobody wants to see this happen to the country and to the world, but it definitely means that more and more agents are going to be hired, more and more customers are going to go into accounts receivable, and more business is going to be flowing through Latitude.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I was just going to add on to that, actually. Even though we target both the grantor and the collection agency side, and grantors have been heavily using digital channels to date, it's really a new phenomenon as it relates to third-party collections. Collections in the third-party world is very heavily regulated, and there's a lot of restrictions around how you can leverage communications. But I think that there's just now becoming a better approach to digital and a better understanding of what digital offers, and we're getting more acceptance. So I think we're going to see some regulatory changes as well. So for us, as we move further into the integration and leveraging digital channels through our integrations to Genesys Cloud and Pure Connect, it positions us really well in this space.
Gotcha. Guys, I think we're almost at time for this segment of the show. Anything you want to add in closing?
Well, I just wanted to talk a little bit about why Genesys Cloud is so particularly exciting. We've been integrated to other call center platforms for quite a while, and some light integrations, some heavier integrations, tighter integrations. Genesys Cloud, I think, in particularly on the third-party space, has a real opportunity. Third-party agencies, let's face it, have not been able to afford Genesys in the past. Genesys has always been kind of a premium product at a premium price. Now with Genesys Cloud, you have a premium product at a very competitive price. In fact, what we're hearing and doing ROI studies with some of our existing customers is that they can swap out Genesys Cloud for their entire contact center infrastructure for less money and have way more functionality, way more reliability, and way more capability than they ever dreamt possible. I mean, we're at a really amazing time for the contact center industry to take on a product like Genesys Cloud. It's unprecedented, and to be able to do it in a reasonably, or even dare I say, cheap manner. It's never been like this before. So, if you're watching this and you cobbled together your contact center infrastructure, you haven't gone ahead and made the plunge to buy Genesys Cloud, you really should be thinking about it. I mean, be a fool not to look at it and at least price it out and see how it compares to what you're currently spending.
Gotcha.
And I'll add into that the dynamic of COVID and the shutdowns and the work from home agent, and especially adoption of work from home in a collections model. Genesys Cloud really enables that, and that's a shift we're seeing our industry go to, forced into that direction, obviously. But actually, the metrics indicate that the agents are productive, and in some cases, more productive working from home. And when you talk about Latitude from a cloud-based model and Genesys Cloud as a solution, we really enable that work from home.
Gotcha. Well, guys, thanks so much for joining me on the show. Just as a quick reminder to people who are watching, Latitude has their own community on our site. I think it's community.genesys.com/latitude. If you want to check them out, ask a question, connect with Chris and Ian. They'd love to hear from you. And yeah, guys, hope to have you back on the show. Thanks so much for the tour. Congrats on your new integration, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
All right, have a good one, guys.
Okay.
All right, we're moving away from Chris, Ian, and Latitude and on to George, who had a real quick answer that he wanted to give to a very deserving community member. George, what's going on?
Hey, Matt, good to see you. Been a long time, been at least 3 weeks, something like that. And I'm coming to you today live from my basement. My daughter's upstairs doing some work with her service dogs that she trains, so you might hear some interesting noises while I'm online here. But today I just wanted to take a quick look at one of the newer features in Genesys Cloud, which is the ability to actually remember the name of the queue that you used when you were placing an outbound call on behalf of a queue. So let me just switch over and get my screen share going. We can take a look at that just real quick so everybody knows that it's there and what it's used for. I've got the Pure Cloud for Salesforce app showing here, the plugin. Just wanted to show real quickly what we used to have, has been there for a long time, and that is under the settings, you can choose under queue the ability to remember the last selected queue when you're placing a call on behalf of queue. And you can also prompt for queue on click to dial if you're dialing from a web page. So here, if I save that setting, and then I go back into this menu and I choose new interaction. Obviously right now it's got nothing in there. I can type a letter or two in any queue's name that I might be a member of. In this case, just so happens I'm only a member of Pure Connect Global right now, but I can type a phone number and place a call on behalf of that queue. So that call goes outbound, select a wrap-up code. If I want to place another call on behalf of queue, now I can go back and you can see that it remembered the last queue name that I chose. Now if I switch over to Pure Cloud for Chrome, you'll see that that same option is here under the settings. So I can remember the last selected queue and I can do the same type of phone call outbound from there on behalf of a queue. And then if I switch over to Pure Cloud from here, under More, choose Pure Cloud. In the web UI, the settings in a slightly different location. It's here under Interactions, and then this cog for the settings. And you can see here it's checked for pre-populate queue field with last used queue. Sometimes when you click over from Pure Cloud for Chrome or Pure Cloud for Salesforce, that may not be checked right away. Then also, if I check out the desktop application, same thing, under Interactions, the settings cog, there I have that option for pre-populate queue field with last used queue. So here again, if I place a call, I'm actually logged in as a different user, so I have to choose a different queue to place a call on behalf of. So the call goes outbound, and then if I hang up, and place another call on behalf of that queue, it pops right in with the same queue that I had before. So it looks a little bit different in the desktop app and the web UI than it does in the Pure Cloud for Chrome or Pure Cloud for Salesforce interface. But we do have that functionality now across the board. Just I'd share that out there in case people had not seen that yet or didn't even know that that functionality existed. So Matt, there you go. Hopefully that's helpful for our folks out there in the community. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks for that information, George. And that concludes this week's episode. Just a real quick reminder. It would be great if you could hop over to the Latitude community and hang out with Chris and Ian for a little bit. They'd love to hear any questions that you have about the Latitude product, its new integrations, its existing integrations, etc. As for me, I will be here gradually unpacking this house for the next couple of weeks to years. So it would be great if you could help me out. I'd love for you to send me any ideas that you have for the show. It could be a segment, it could be a topic, it could be an expert that you would like to hear from. Feel free to email those thoughts to qashow@genesys.com. Again, that's qashow@genesys.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for helping me break in my new house. It's starting to feel cozier with each passing second. And I will see you next time. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in for this week's episode. We hope it was helpful and maybe a little bit entertaining. Each week, our host and experts review community discussions and debate what content to discuss, so your voice matters. Did we miss something? Do you have a question for the show? Let us know. Join the conversation at the Genesys online community. As a Genesys customer or partner, you can create an account. Just click the sign in button found on most pages and follow the necessary instructions to create an account. Also, feel free to email us at qashow@genesys.com. We'd love to hear from you. If this is your first episode, welcome. You can view our entire archives. Go to the Helpful Links panel found on most community pages and find the QA Show archive that interests you. We appreciate your support of the show and the community. Cheers!